Thank you for tuning in. I am Dave from the Kodo, and I'll be going through another heroic dungeon guide for World of Warcraft. This is heroic Scholomance. I will be in the position of healer, and my guildmate Ryan will be the tank. Not a difficult dungeon. There are 5 bosses. Some of them have some tricks that you kind of have to deal with, but we'll go through those as we go on. As soon as you enter, you just have to burn down these 2 guys that are protecting the main entrance, and we're going to head into Instructor Chillheart. This first boss is a DPS race, as one of the instructor's abilities is a giant ice wall that if it touches you will do some massive damage, if not killing you instantly. What we do here is we jump straight down, not pulling any of the mobs. You can go around and take them out group by group, but dropping straight down here, you only have to go through one group, and the instructor will actually kill the rest of them for you. And now here we're going to engage on the instructor. You can see that big ice wall. If that touches you, it will kill you, so you just want to, and it's kind of getting closer and closer every time. Obviously this is sped up to about 180%, so that's moving faster than it normally would, but it's a DPS race. You want to burn down the instructor as quick as possible, and the wall will go away. Once the wall is gone away, there's that little idle thing in the middle. You want to start attacking that. Here there are some books shooting fire everywhere. Just avoid those if you can. And then there's arcane little holes that pop up and do some damage. So just avoid those. And as you can see, there's still some mobs that are left around that kind of get pulled in here every once in a while. But once you burn through the center portion of the boss, the second part of the boss, you can move on. We're going to move into the next area and burn through some mob packs and head on to Jandice Barov. That'll be the next boss that we go into. Like I said, not a difficult dungeon to heal through. Just if you're not paying attention to some of the trickery that some of the bosses have, it can cause some issues. Here, once we get into this main room, we're going to try and clear out a bunch of the mob packs, but the boss gets pulled prematurely and we didn't have time to get through all of them. Once you get to the main area back here, this is where Jandice is, and accidentally gets pulled by one of the other people in the group, so we kind of have to deal with that. When you're in this position here, the tank is going to want to pay attention to Jandice's icon when he's targeting her. She splits off into a bunch of copies, and the best way to find out which one is her, the real one, is to match up the portrait. So since the tank has her targeted while he's attacking her, you just pay attention to what she looks like, and as you go around and click on these imitations, you will be able to find the one that looks exactly like her, and then you can just start attacking her, and then they all go away like that. There is a big purple bomb, the thing that she throws. It throws you backwards if you hit it, or if it hits you, so just avoid that if you can. It doesn't do too much damage, but it can be disrupting to your rotation. And here you can see she split again, so what we're going to do is we're just going to run around and try and find the one that looks like her. Occasionally one will become stuck to you, essentially, and then you'll have to just kind of burn her down, but you're looking for the portrait that looks like her. See, I just got hit by that purple thing. Didn't do too much damage, so it was you could deal with it. Very easy boss once you've figured out how to find her in the big mass of copies. Not too horrible. We're moving on to the next area, which will contain the next boss. Very quickly, not too many mobs here, just clear out the area. There's some warlock bone weavers here that you want to just try and get rid of. The next boss is Rattlegore. As we're walking around, you'll see there's 6 piles of bones, and every once in a while there's a sparkling pile of bones that you can actually click on. It'll give you the cogwheel. Once we get into the fight with Rattlegore, those are going to be very important. It comes up as a debuff. You can see it up there by my minimap. 5-minute debuff, but once it will block 1 bone move. This is important to keep in mind and to watch that to make sure you have that debuff. Rattlegore will do an attack that he'll throw a pile of bones at you and will do massive amount of damage if you can survive it. Normally it'll kill most players. The move is called Bone Spike, so you're going to want to watch out for that. But as long as you are going around, you're picking up the bone piles once your debuff is gone. When he hits you with Bone Spike, it won't do any damage. It'll block that one, but it'll get rid of the debuff, so you have to go find another pile and just click it again. It is random who he selects to hit with, and so everybody should just try and keep that up. Towards the end of the fight, one of our players does get hit, and it does pretty much like 90% damage to him. You can see the tank is kiting Rattlegore around because of these giant pillars of light that are being spawned. So you just want to kind of move him in and out of those and just avoid, because they grow and they start to expand from where they started. And they are random where they pop up, so you just want to avoid those. Like I said, very easy. Just kite them around, avoid those big pillars of light, and keep your bone shield up by clicking on those bone piles on the ground. And as you can see right there, I think it was our warlock got hit and he didn't have the bone shield on. It did a pretty good amount of damage. Most people running this dungeon right now have decent gear, so they can take that, but in the early stages of level 90, you're going to have some issues if you get hit with that. Especially if it's your tank or your healer that get hit and killed instantly. Not too difficult. Burn them down, kite them around, keep your bone shield up, you should be fine. Moving into the next area, we are going to see a familiar face, Lillian Voss. If you've leveled any undead characters, you'll recognize her from the starter zone. She's here and attempting to fight Darkmaster Gandling, but he takes control of her, and you have to fight her and her spirit at some point during that match, during that battle. Here you can see we're just kind of burning down mobs. The big guys, you don't actually attack them directly. They have non-elite parts, meat graft. If you attack those, eventually the actual big guy will just die. So don't worry about attacking him directly, just attack the meat graft and he'll go away. And these mobs are spaced out enough that you don't have to worry about pulling multiple at a time, so it's pretty decent. And you're going to move to the left here, and we're going to go through this door into the next area where Lillian Voss is being controlled, or being taken control of by the Darkmaster. You can ignore him, he doesn't really do anything, he just controls her the whole time. But she has a couple of interesting techniques that she'll do. You're just going to fight her, and once in a while she portals around randomly to somebody and starts attacking them. The tank just needs to grab her back, not too much of a hassle there, so she just jumps back and forth. She will eventually pull us all into the middle, right here. And as you run away, you have a little trail of purple fire. If you've ever played Snake, you just want to kind of not run in front of other people that are in your group, because it does a little bit of damage, not horrible damage you can't heal through, but it does leave that trail, and it does stay there for a decent amount of time. Right here, she loses control of her soul. The Darkmaster has control of that, and the soul basically will do the same thing as Lillian Voss, but will fixate on a specific person in the group, a random person. You can see there's little eyeballs above the person that they're fixated on, and they will just continue to walk towards that person. See, now I'm fixated on. The tank cannot pull aggro from this person that is being fixated on, and the person's being fixated on just wants to just walk away, because once the soul gets to you, it will do a substantial amount of damage. Once you've burned down the soul, you go into the third phase of this, where the soul is active and Lillian Voss is active. So everything comes into one. You get pulled into the middle, you have your purple flame trail, and the soul is running around fixating on people. So it's both stage 1 and stage 2 combined here. So you want to pay attention to if you're being fixated on, and if you get pulled in, to not run in front of your other group mates here. Once you burn her down, the Darkmaster will run away, and we're going to head off to go find him so that we can finish out this dungeon run, and he is the 5th and final boss in Scholomance. The bosses are pretty closely clumped together with few large areas of mobs to deal with. You pretty much go room to room, but we're heading down towards the professor, who is kind of like a side boss here. He's not really a full-on boss, but you got to be careful in this room. There's a bunch of bored students that you're going to want to pull small groups at a time, depending on your healer and your tank, if they can handle it. Me and my guildmate and I are both decently geared. But as you can see, once we get too large of a group here, I have to pop Tranquility to keep everybody alive. I was semi not paying attention at the time, but once they're all together, when you get too many of the board students together, they can do a decent amount of damage. They just kind of do like an AoE attack and some lightning bolts every once in a while. Or, not lightning bolts, that was our shaman there, but they can do some decent damage when there's a lot of them grouped together, so you just want to avoid that. You don't want to pull the professor with all the board students alive, because they will just converge on you. They don't actually aggro to you when you walk into the room. You have to pull them. My tank uses D&D to pull groups of them at a time, but if you attack the professor immediately, they will all converge on you, and it will be very hard to get through, because the sheer amount of students doing the AoE damage that they do is very hard to heal through and survive through. So take those students out first, then move on. And as you can see, we head down into the final battle, who is the Darkmaster. This is the last boss in Scholomance. He does some weird things here. One of the main things that he does is he teleports a random person to another room. Very shortly from right here, my tank gets teleported away from me. He does raise some additional. He does raise some extra guys in here that you just kind of have to deal with. Right there, my tank gets portaled off into the next room. It's purely random who gets portaled off, and you can't heal him. There's a gate in front of the door, so you can't be healed through it, and he can't do any attacks through it. There's a bunch of non-elites in there that you basically just have to burn down and wait for the gate to open. Towards the end of this, I get portaled away. See right here, I have to switch into cat form. I can't heal anybody through the gate, and I have to just kind of burn these guys down until the gate opens, essentially just trying to stay alive. The whole time, the Darkmaster is just raising some extra guys, some extra ghouls in there to deal with, and eventually the group just burns him down. As soon as I get out here, I run out, and we finish him off here. So not a horribly difficult boss. You just got to pay attention to some of the trickery. If this was helpful, let me know. Give me a like. Stay tuned for some more heroic runs, some guides, and some walkthroughs for those. I am Dave from the Kodo. Like always, good luck. Have fun.